Hello, Tuna here, back again. Excuse any coughing again, I've got a bit of a cold, bit of a bummer, but there you go. But anyway, I just wanted to show you, before I do any Neo Geo reviews or playthroughs or let's plays or whatever, is my Supergun setup. And what you're looking at here, if I can hold the camera still while using one hand, is my Supergun, which I was bored one day and decided to make one in the Dreamcast arcade stick. If you look at the arcade stick, it's basically a modified Dreamcast arcade stick with full sandwell parts, a nice mesh top ball top which I bought from Tokyo, and full sandwell buttons. I put some extra stickers, Capcom stickers, just made it look funky. And then on the side here, as my Neo Geo is my Supergun controls. And if I can hold this on my knee, I can show you. They say the knobs you see on the left, once this thing decides to focus, my blue, green and red for my colours on my screen. They need to be adjustable on Superguns because sometimes they get oversaturated and you can change the colours now. Then we've got the buttons to the next side then are your test switch, your service switch and your credit button, which is a nice green one. I didn't quite get them in a line, but there you go. And then the one on the end, the grey one, is for sync. What I found was on certain TVs, I used to get a little bit of problems with the Neo Geo syncing properly. So what I did is add a potentiometer onto the actual sync, and you can adjust this to adjust the sync. And it does works quite nice, and it gets rid of like you get sync wobble, you get a rolling screen. If you adjust the sync, that works nice and well. You've got no problems there. If you look on the back, I don't know whether I can place this in a position where you can see it. If I move the Jama loom out of the way, what you'll see is a connector on the back there. What that connector is for is so I can use 2-player on Neo Geo and arcade boards. And what I do was, if I can find it, I made myself this cable, as you'll see here, using these ends and wired up, if you can see it, and wired up with these ends. And what that plugs into then is one of my other joysticks, which is another joystick with sandwell parts and everything. But what this has got on the side, on the back by here, as you'll see if it'll focus, is a connector. That connector connects into that lead and connects into the other joystick to allow to use 2 players on Neo Geo arcade boards. What's good about this joystick, it was a Wii joystick originally, which is pretty pointless for me on the Wii, so I've converted it to PlayStation 2. Reason for that is all my retro consoles I've got PS2 adapters from Tototech. They're really good adapters, they work well. Sometimes when you turn a machine on, you do get the buttons turn into water fire, which is a bit of a pain, but apart from that, they work pretty damn good. So I use PS2 converted joysticks on pretty much all my retro consoles, which is well handy because you just essentially need one decent joystick and you can use it on everything. So that's my second player joystick out the way, so I'll just move that a minute. Anyway, back to the Supergun. Right now, as you'll see is, like I say, there's sorry, that connector there is not for my Supergun. It's the connector on the side is for the joystick. Once it decides that's the connector for the joystick. Plus you'll also see by here there's my fuse. You need that because you don't want to kill yourself. And by here is my standard kettle lead connection for my power. I'll show you my power cables later. I say the one on the back there is for my RGB scat lead, which I made myself. This is an extra button for my Neo Geo 6 slot, so it allows me to get into the service menu because it's a slightly different setup on the Jama loom. On here you'll see is this cable. This cable is for Xbox 360 because this joystick is converted to Xbox 360. Plus underneath, if I can show you this, it's a bit of a complicated setup, but it looks like a telecom man's nightmare on the inside. Complicated setup. You'll see this connector by here. If you pull this connector off, the joystick then will turn into a 360 joystick. If you plug this connector back on, it connects you back to your Jama loom, and then you've got your Jama connector. But what you can also do as well, I've put this extra connector by here. So what you do, you pull this off, and I've made joypad adapters. So I've got a PS2 joypad adapter, I've got a SNES one, I can't remember, I may have made a Mega Drive one, and you can plug the cable into there, use an old like pad for SNES or something, make yourself a converter, and it'll plug straight into the SNES. It was before the days I had a few joysticks. I decided to use one joystick for everything. And that hole you see by there is just a piece I cut out that I didn't need, which is a bit of a shit. But anyway, as you see, there's my phone going off again. So I got some nice stickers on it as it goes down. So and that goes off to my Jamaloom. If I can get it to focus on it. Here's my Jamaloom. See the soldered bit on the one side? That stops me putting it the wrong way round. I know that some copied boards don't have the cut, the slot cut out. So you may have to remove it if you're using them. But it's easy enough. It's just a bit of solder. I wish this thing would focus. Yeah. It's just a bit of solder basically. So that's my Supergun setup. I set the buttons up so they're the Neo Geo, not the 4-way buttons, but the Neo Geo setup, so a Neo Geo CD setup. So if I move my joystick out of the way a minute, 1 second. So what I'm running that on through then is my Neo Geo 1 slot. As you can see there, standard, if I get it to focus, standard Neo Geo 1 slot. Quite nice, quite a small unit. I think it's the FZ1. Underneath then, as you can see now, I got the Unibias on there, which gives you a lot of extra options, allows you to pause the game, plus gives you a lot of cheats. Like say you could use the home version. What it does as well, it allows you to use the home or the arcade versions. You could essentially turn this into an AES system, but at the moment it's an MVS system. What that allows you to do then is use cheats. Like you say, you could pick the UK MVS systems, you get all the home menus, and then what you can do is use a cheat then to get the red blood, like in something like Samurai Showdown, something like that. Very useful version of it. A little bit dusty as you see. Very useful piece of kit to have. Definitely well worth about the 20 quid it costs. You just send off to his website, tell him what version board you got, and then he sends you a BIOS chip, and it's literally just pull the chip out, push the other chip back in. Done a few little modifications to this. I got something about 100 yen stickers, which I bought from a shop in Tokyo, and all my arcade sticks have got them on. Only got one sticker left, unfortunately. But underneath, what I did, to stop you putting your fingers on it, I got a piece of acrylic, stuck it underneath, put some nice rubber feet on it, as you see by here, and then I put a nice MVS sticker on it, which looks pretty cool. And I don't know if I can show you that the board sits quite nicely on there, and it's quite easy to pick up because then you can put your hands underneath it. You're not touching any of the circuit board. These are the Neo Geo cartridges, arcade cartridge. This one's Magician Lord, classic game. I love it. I will have to do a video on this at some point. They're pretty big, as you can see. If I find something as a reference, yeah. So there's your classic. There's your classic Neo Geo cartridge. Once it focuses, focus, goddamn you! Sometimes if I do that, it works. That's it. There's your classic Neo Geo cartridge, but there, and then on top of that is a standard Famicom cartridge, which is about the same size as a Mega Drive cartridge. Damn cold. As you can see, they're fairly big, and if I can grab it, and they're about twice as thick. But they store a fair amount of information on them, and that basically goes into this one slot. You look on there, and there's an arrow. You see the arrow, and the arrow goes face down with the arrow on there, and basically you just push your cartridge in, and there it is. And that's pretty much a Neo Geo 1 slot arcade board. Very cool. Your jammer slots on the front. It does have a volume slot on the left by there, where you'll see it. which is basically by here. There's your volume, and obviously there's your jammer. So that's the one. My other Neo Geo, which I've got as well, is this beast in front of you. This is a Neo Geo 4-slot arcade board. It's basically, if I can get above it, it allows you to put 4 Neo Geo cartridges in one machine, and then what you do, use a button on the joystick, switches between games. Very useful. I also found with the power supply I got, it does take a lot of power. I do have to pump the 5V on the power supply up quite a bit. Pretty much max to get this working, otherwise you just get a garbled screen. But it works perfect. Like I said, I just bought a few stickers and my 100 yen sticker on it. Cool thing about these is usually a lot of them are not working. One of the slot is deaf, or you can't get all the games working. But this one works perfect. It hasn't got the uni bias, but I do plan to buy one at some point. As you can see on the front, if I can get it focused, you got a volume connector slot by there, which is quite useful, and you got your jammer connections. And if I turn it around, you got various other connections on the sides for your cab and all that sort of thing. Nothing special on the back. And then on your, if I can do it, and on the one side then you got your dip switch settings. Toward this camera, and you got your audio out settings. You can plug headphone sockets in this, and you got a volume setting on the side. I don't think it's got any other features. Some of these used to come with the Neo Geo joystick connector. Yeah, this one has as well. Yeah, this is a very handy thing. If you look on the back of this joystick, on this Neo Geo board, it's got 2 connectors for the standard Neo Geo joysticks, which is fantastic. So you can plug your Supergun into it, and then plug your Neo Geo joystick straight into it. So you can use the home AES joysticks on it. Very useful. I did years ago, when I was well into this stuff and jammer, and I had quite a few jammer boards, and if it didn't have a cab, but I had a box Supergun from Raven Games, plus a load of jammer boards. I did have a 6-slot, and I gotta be honest, when I picked this one up, I forgot how big they were. With the 6 slots, I think the 6 slot is roughly about the same size, but the slots go horizontal, not vertical. So that's my Neo Geo 4-slot board. The other thing is about these cartridges. Obviously the arcade cartridges, they used to come in kits in cardboard boxes. There is a guy on the Jammer Plus forum who will sell you the cardboard boxes and the stickers for them. But what I found, if you go to the range or something like that, or have a look online, you can get these plastic A5 boxes. They're slightly bigger than the cartridge. And let's see if I can get my cartridge out here with one hand, which I might not be able to. Hang on, 1 second. Right, sorry about that. With these plastic bottles, they're A5 size, they're slightly bigger than the cartridge, but what you can do is, on the inside, if you line the inside with a bit of bubble wrap, as you see, these cartridges fit perfect. And then you put your top back on, and it keeps them in lovely nick. What I did, I went on the Jammer Plus forum with the guy on there, and I bought a load of stickers for the cartridges I've got and stick them on the side, so then you could essentially put them on a shelf, and they look pretty nice. And I gotta be honest, when I printed off, it would have been better in colour, but I ain't got a colour printer. Would have been better in colour to print off the arcade flyers. Like I've got the arcade flyer on the back, and I've got the Magician poster on the front, and they're just A5 photo paper, which I chucked through a printer. Colour one would look a lot nicer, but yeah, you could put them on the shelf, and with the plastic box and the bubble wrap, they're pretty damn safe. You could fall off a shelf and it's not going to do nothing to them. The boxes are roughly, if you go to the range, they're $1.99 for the box, or if you have a look on eBay, you can get a set of 5 boxes for about £8 with free delivery, which is pretty damn good. So I say that's my Neo Geo setup. I say I use the 1 slot mainly. I do have a couple of multi-carts. I have 120 in one, and I've got 160, 62 or whatever it is in one as well. Only problem, the 120 doesn't work on the 4 slot. There's certain ones that don't work. Nothing makes, but the 160, 60 odd, whatever in one does. Which is very useful to have, so I'm keeping that as a spare at the moment. But I'm using this one mainly as my Neo Geo. And if I can show you over here, I don't know if you can get in there. If I can, I don't know if you can see it. Behind there, which is a bit dark, and I can't see it, is my JAMA power supply. And I've got a light. So, let me get a light on it. You might be able to see it a bit better then. I've got a light that works. Bloody torch. Yeah. What you'll see is in there. If you can see it. Sorry, next shelf down. Yeah, in there is my JAMA power supply. I've connected it to a block of wood, which makes it better. And there you can see at the top you've got the 5V changer, depending. I do have to pump that up a bit. What I've done with that, I've wired that off to a really long cable, which basically has your standard kettle lead on it. And then my SCART lead, I've got a really long SCART lead that goes off to my TV that connects through that connector straight into my joystick. Pretty cool. I say I made the Supergun about 10 years ago when I was making them and selling on eBay. Then the market dropped out of them, which is a bit of a bummer because I was making them in a nice little box. I do have all the stuff, including a box, to make another standalone Supergun in a box, which at some point when I'm bored I'll probably wire it up. I've got the JAMA loom and everything ready to go, and I'll probably wire up and just make a little standalone Supergun and possibly use that on the 4 slot board and get some Neo Geo joysticks to go at the back, which is a damn good idea. I do know a man who has one who said he'd dig it out for me. So anyway, that's a look at my Neo Geo hardware. Probably in the next video I'll possibly do some I don't know, maybe some Neo Geo Let's Plays, or perhaps I'll run through some of the stuff on the multi-cards. Anyway, next video, see you again.